Hello everyone, it's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies. Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing, Mariam?
I'm fine, thank you.
I see Nima for the first time, right? Yeah.
Nice to have you back, sis. She's so subdued. I'm finding it hard to relate with this
She's
new
not
Nima.
subdued. No,
She's
yesterday she was on fire.
Oh, okay.
Ago.
Today, I'm like, what's happening? But you ladies, I need you to join me in giving this shout out. So this couple, Mololu and Ayobami Ogunshe just recently got married in America. The mother of the bride couldn't be there. She lives in Brunei, and of course we know the new normal. So she was only able to watch her daughter get married via Zoom. So I would like us to give them a shout out from your mom, Omo Ogundele, your auntie, and your auntie Buki, all of us at Lifestyle with ML, and also the ladies of Your View. Let's congratulate this couple. Thank you.
Congratulations to her.
Amen. Food for years together.
Amen. How is ML with
Lifestyle with
ML going?
We're doing great. We have a new class ongoing. I mean, we're in our 3rd week now, so we're waiting for the next class. I'm really happy with the reviews and all the testimonies, you know, and of course the Lifestyle with ML community. So we have people that move on from the weight loss program to just the community where you're trying to live your day
and encourage others.
Yes, healthy, and then encourage others.
Hi, Nima.
I'm fine. I'd forgotten I had paid for my rice and it arrived on Monday before I got
Hey, she has started business.
But my husband, God bless him, is on top of it. He resumed yesterday.
Oh, nice.
I saw him dressing up and his clothes couldn't fit. I was like, don't worry, you get over it.
They're loose on him.
Loose on him.
But the bank's opened. I remember they're partially opened, right?
No, his branch. Resume. They opened. Yes, they
I thought some branches were closed or something.
For those affected, they didn't resume. So he only resumed yesterday.
Most banks are open, right?
Yes.
I've done everything to. I pray to God that I must not go to the bank.
Yeah,
like, under no circumstance should I go to the bank. Let me just, so I'm trying really hard.
Successfully, I had not visited the bank or my firm since February 2nd. But now I have to do some work. So I'll be resuming everything.
There's called virtual. There's a new number. You don't have to go there.
No.
You don't have to go anywhere.
I don't have this particular bank. I must call them out. They shut all their branches close to home and sent us to the most crowded place inside the trade fair to do our transactions. Very, very insensitive bank that I'm banking with. I'm thinking of closing my account there because all within Satellite Town, they have a bank in one corner in Satellite Town, but they decided to shut everything.
Imagine that.
And send us to the most
Interestingly, maybe it's with the same bank because I have one abroad like this that came from. She came from, that's your area. She came from Agbara, not your area, Agbara. And same thing, her bank too, they don't have a branch. So she has to come all the way here to go to the bank. And I'm like, listen, I have to quarantine you for every step, for every time you go to the bank. you have to be quarantined.
I need to do this shout out to the chairman of the Satellite Town Forum, the most humble activist I know, Governor Emitini. He was here with the Satellite Town Forum. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday, sir. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for all that you do. He's selfless. He's concerned about other people. That's how leadership should be. And today also is the birthday of former Senator Benga. Once a senator, always a senator, Benga Shafa. That shout out is coming from Adedola Pomara Desa, our producer. He wants us to shout out to you. Happy 65th
Oh,
birthday
65th.
today.
I used to say it's your 60th. I think 60th.
65.
65, you're sure?
Dolakpo, except I'm wrong.
Okay, I think I saw it in the papers. 65, I think you're right. So anyway.
Happy birthday, sir.
All this shouting out to start charging you people one by one.
Yep.
Start charging you per shout out. 5K. Okay, so let's go on a break. It's Wednesday. So much to cover today. We'll be right back. We're going to start with the punch today. Recovered vehicles auctioned to Presidential Villa and Ministry, says Magu. 32-year-old man gets life imprisonment for defiling Ogun 2-year-old. Oyo to repatriate 40 indigents in Lebanese slave camps. Jonathan visits Villa, says relationship with Buhari cordial. 4 killed, 2 injured as car plunges in Ogun River. Presidency disagrees as National Assembly asks service chiefs to resign. Onyema, SGF PTF members, ministers undergo tests. Akpabio giving 48 hours to name lawmakers who awarded the NDDC contracts. Okay, let's start with the human interest story. This
okay, I have in Oyo State.
No,
the human interest. Okay.
This Adekunle Olalere, 35-year-old man, was sentenced to life imprisonment yesterday with an outstanding, I will say an outstanding, because I read the story, prosecution. What happened was that he had raped the wife's assistant's daughter. So this woman works with the wife as an assistant in her cooking business, and has a 2-year-old. He took the child, raped her, and the mother was swift. So it's not about being educated. She took her child to the hospital. They were able to recover the sperm in a 2-year-old, and is pleading not guilty. So that was a neat prosecution. There's no how it will fail. So most likely they got the right sentence, which is life imprisonment for him. That's how it should be done in case of any, well, God forbid that. The young man who also defrauded an American of $2,500 was also sentenced to 6 months with hard labor. That's because the EFCC did a good job. They were able to trace. So that when prosecution is, once you are investigating a crime, do the right thing. So we have.
So Oyo State is making arrangements to repatriate about 40 women in Lebanon who are being used as slaves in different homes, and they're looking also to various women across other countries like Dubai, Oman, and Saudi Arabia. The state is working in collaboration with Nigerian Diaspora Commission to bring back these ladies. They said 9 of their indigents on July 11th were brought back, and so they're waiting for clearance for the rest to come back. Yes.
I would like that they also work on the, because in Oyo State and Kwara State, they have a high number of their people in those camps in the Middle East. They should work on those agents in Nigeria who do that business, who promise a different arrangement and then sell people to slavery.
I was going to take the major headline very quickly because we have to run off. Magu. Magu is saying that the recovered vehicles have been auctioned off to some certain ministries, and he mentioned that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management and the National Commission of Refugees and Displaced Persons and the Federal Inland Revenue Service all got some of these vehicles that he was accused of not remitting properly. So he's speaking, and he said much more than that, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Let's move on to The Nation. Service chiefs, 774,000 jobs, lawmakers take on Buhari. Tribute as Funtua is buried. Speaker to Akpabio list rep contractors.
That's all.
Why 3rd Million Bridge must close. And CBN approves 50 billion naira revival pill for textile. Okay, lots of stories here. Which one?
CBN.
Yes.
So the CBN has decided to help us revive our textile industry with this 50 billion naira special mechanization or mechanism funds that will be handled by the Bank of Industry at a 4.5% interest rate. I hope, and they said it will last from now until 2025, December 2025. I'm hoping that, because this is the way to create the jobs that they're talking. It's not about mentioning how many jobs you create, but reviving those dead industries so that we'll have, places where people can legitimately work in. Yes.
So service chiefs, the lawmakers are coming together and have they constituted a committee made up of the Nigeria Defense Academy, Navy, National Security, Nigerian Police, and Interior. And really just to look for the way forward with the banditry insurgency that's happening in Northeast. They've talked about we're losing so many soldiers in combat. Just a few weeks ago, we lost about 24. So many of them were wounded. Over 200 of them have resigned. So the senators are talking about how obviously there's a lack of coordination in the military. There's apathy to even fight this war. But in doing this, there was a swift response from the presidency. He said anything that has to do with the resolution or the retirement of service chiefs is the sole prerogative of the presidency, and the president will take actions that he thinks is in the best interest of our country.
I think the presidency should also consider the voice of the people, the representatives of the people are speaking what is in the minds of the people. And they should also
Senator Ndume's report. He actually went there. He went there and he was
giving
the report.
So they should also investigate seriously some allegations that because of the long stay of these service chiefs in office, certain forms of corruption have been systematically put in place. Some of the people in that community, I've spoken to some of my friends in Borno, complaining about how they feel that the army is complicit in certain things happening around them. So I think they should investigate. Why is it Kosho delay now? It's not somebody's family's title.
To Vanguard. NDDC reps tackle Akpabio, Senate walks Ojogbo out. How Malami frustrated extradition of Dezani, other fugitives, says Magu. Ondo APC, I'll embark on reconciliation, says Akeredolu. Obasanjo, Lawan, Tinubu, others mourn Malam Ismaila Issa Funtua. And I'm in a good relationship with President Buhari, says Jonathan. Okay, I'd like to take a few stories. Let's say, who has Mago's story? He was just also giving the report that the AGF, you know, AGF is the one that Malami was accused him recently of corruption. Now, he's also accusing Malami that he's the one that's frustrated the documentation to actually extradite the Dezemi back to Nigeria. That he's the one that, because initially he was accused of not getting the right, working with the crime officials in UK to not being able to bring her back. But he's saying, no, it was the AGF that actually frustrated all that efforts to bring her back to Nigeria. The second story I was going to take in Vanguard is Ojogbo. Do you have the other story?
I do.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So the Senate committee investigating the NDDC issue, this invited Ojogbo, and because Senator Nwaboshi, who has been alleged to have received monies from the NDDC, is sitting on the panel, of course, you know, he was saying, no, we're not investigating financial issues, we're only investigating sack of staff. And the Ojogbo man was insisting.
Let's talk about
you can't sit there on this panel, and it is a basic principle of law. You can't sit over an issue you have been alleged.
So also, relatedly, remember Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo also was the chairman of this same committee, and he was asked to step aside because they said he was accused of the same thing. Now Nwaboshi took over, and he's now been accused of the same thing that Olubunmi has got.
So who's left to be on this committee?
You yourself cannot speak.
In the payments we've seen online, Nwaboshi was implicated. I think it is honorable to say, okay, no.
So who is left to be on that panel?
Let's have. I don't think the lawmakers should
do
what
you know your people. Okay, let us
check
move on.
yourself.
Anyways, but interestingly, was saying that no, we're not talking about financial regulators. We're focusing on SAC.
Another,
so what
it's okay, it's okay.
We look at it.
It's okay.
Moving on to Daily Sun. Insecurity presidency, Senate clash over service chiefs. COVID-19, Anambra names 5 high-risk local governments. NDDC Gbajabiamila gives Akpabio 48 hours to expose contractor and lawmakers. Naming Wari Ikpe Itakpe train station after me is a good gesture, says Jonathan.
Aww.
And Ondo tension as Ajayi, Jegede, Olafis or others fight for PDP ticket. Okay, let's talk about the speaker.
Yes, so the Honorable Speaker yesterday said that he had given Akpabio 24 to 48 hours to give a list of all those who have received contracts from NDDC. He says, as for him and his household, he's been in the National Assembly for 5 years, and he can speak for majority of the members of the National Assembly that they haven't collected any contract. And this, he says that if he does not get this list at the end of the 48 hours, he would invite upon himself the full wrath of the law.
Exactly.
And he's been given a...
So we're waiting.
So we're waiting for this list.
An action on slander, what else can they do to Akpabio?
Well, we'll see how the investigation goes. Let's move on to the Nigerian Tribune. Insecurity Senate warns service chiefs to go. Gunmen kill village head, 9 others in Kaduna. Oyo Council's 3rd term. Vacation begins July 30th.
So, yeah,
let's take that story.
Okay,
Oyo State.
Oyo State government has approved that, you know, there will be no 3rd term in the state, and that the 2 terms that are so far been done will be the basis for promotion of students into the next stage of studying. And they, you know, gave outline on how common entrance will be done, how the just 3 WAEC will be done, because that is done within the state, and then the WAEC will still hold. If WAEC is holding nationally, of course, the people the children in SS3 should also get ready to take.
See, I like the decisive nature of your state. They're making their decisions, but see that we can also think of politics because they're a PDP state and they don't necessarily have to adhere to the ruling party. So they are taking their own. There's their own decisions separately, but we need to ensure that we don't politicize this issue because either way, states have the ability to make these decisions, and but many of them are choosing not to.
As I always say, just make sure
reasons.
these children are healthy and safe. You know, just make sure the proper guidance.
The village in Kaduna, who has that story?
Yes, I do. See, in Kaduna State, I mean, this is another killing. Just a few days ago, a wedding party was attacked. Now, the head of a village in Zangon-Katav local government also was killed. They came in as usual on bikes, shooting sporadically. A 6-year-old was also a victim, many people wounded and in hospital. This just seems to be ongoing. And this is at the back of a peace deal that had just been constituted between 2 warring parties. Honestly, something seriously needs to be done about the continuous killings in Kaduna State.
Kaduna, Katsina, there's quite a number of other
Yeah, I
states.
mean, the north.
The Guardian, I'll find out people this morning. Let's take a story we've not taken. NLC asks federal government to reverse hike in petrol price. Who has that story? When did you take that story?
The NLC President Ayuba Waba was addressing pressmen in Taraba State, and he complained about the increments again. You know, we had gone back to 120, about 21 naira per litre, but now they went back to 143 naira. He's saying that the indices that would inform that increment is still the same internationally, so price of oil is still low. And why is the Nigerian government pushing that burden to the general masses by increasing fuel to benefit oil markets as private businessmen? So he is asking them to reverse that hike that recently happened, and is the life of is the life of common.
There's so many factors that have been considered, but let's wrap up on that. We're going to go on break now. When we come back, we'll continue with our hot topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, according to reports, Nigeria's House of Representatives have given the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Godswill Akpabio, 48 hours to name the National Assembly members involved in the contracts awarded by the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. He is to publish names, the contracts, the dates, amounts of the contracts awarded to the members of the House, the Ninth Assembly. Joining us on the show is a member, House of Representative, Honorable Ibrahim Isiaka. Good morning, sir. Thanks for joining us this day. Are you there?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone in the studios.
So the minister yesterday made some seriously weighty allegations against your house, suggesting that 60% of the contracts awarded at the NDDC actually were for members of the House. And these allegations are pretty weighty, and we've seen that the Speaker has tried to give him a 48 hours to give us that list. But don't you feel that the allegation in itself speaks volumes and can actually damage the image of the House?
Well, thank you very much for that question. It depends on the angle you are looking at, the media and then the public. First and foremost, as a member of the National Assembly and under this current leadership, I have carefully studied the staff, and I've seen that all they are trying to do is to consolidate and bring together all the troubles in the Niger Delta region and see how best the intervention programs can work for the betterment of that area. So if the minister could want to say that, and I'm surprised that the media is only picking at his initial statement, which he later recounted, because he was specifically asked the period, and he said April. And when he said April 2018, the chairman of that committee, Honorable Doguwa, as at that time, was a member elect. He has not even been sworn in, talkless of knowing whether he be the chairman of NDDC. So let's take that aside, but it should be on record that the chairman later recounted that story. So why it is still trending, his first statement is to my own chagrin.
Right, okay.
So,
Then secondly, if the minister says 60% of the projects were allocated to the National Assembly, for a matter, I mean, without any prejudice, because as I speak, I'm not a member of the NDDC as a committee. But I want to tell you, and let it be on record today, that it is the duty, among others, of the National Assembly members to struggle, beg, lobby, appeal that projects be facilitated to their federal constituencies. So perhaps if he's able to throw more light, as the Speaker already succinctly put yesterday, that he should go and list. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not too sure that any member of the National Assembly would have a company and give his company to them that they should give contracts to.
All right.
Okay.
But if the fact is that he says, as he said, 60%
Right.
to the National Assembly, I am not too sure it's bad for National Assembly members to beg them that they should facilitate some certain projects.
Okay, all right. Let me get a few more questions in for you.
So, sir, we all watch the videos that have been, all over television and social media. And I'd just like you to help explain, from your own point of view. It seemed when he started talking about these contracts that may have been given to the National Assembly, it seemed like the chairman was trying to shut him up. And that is what a lot of people are worried about. Was he about to say something that was indicting, something factual, and would be embarrassing to the House, and so he was shut down? Or are you saying that we misunderstood what we saw?
Apparently, definitely, that action was misunderstood, grossly misunderstood. And with due respect to the chairman in seat as at that time, who is a new member and the deputy chairman of that committee. There have been so many dramas. And to the right thinking of any individual, we have not forgotten the memory of a certain minister walking out during a shouting match. That chairman was carefully, with maturity, trying to avoid such a scenario or situation. That was the reason he tried as much as possible to calm down everyone so that they will be able to speak to the documents. The documents before that committee is about 80-something billion spent within certain period. And even if there are issues outside the alleged misappropriation of malfeasance of spending 80-something billion, that's another case for another time.
Okay.
And of course, when you called for investigative hearing, it's expected that you submit your memorandum or memoranda, as case may be, if there are many. So the issue at hand is about 80-something billion.
Right.
So if there is still any axe to grind, so the chairman does try to control the situation so that it will not snowball into shouting match to the extent that they will say, okay, somebody is walking out of the National Assembly.
Point taken, sir.
The Assembly is getting out.
Okay.
That was what he tried to do.
Let me clarify what you just said, that it is normal for members of the House of Representatives to lobby for their federal constituencies to get certain developmental projects, and clarify it with when you have a company that you lobby gets the contract to do that project in those constituencies. Because what we are debating here now is that certain lawmakers have phony companies that get these contracts, but they do not deliver with the contracts. It is completely separate from when, and I don't think lawmakers should be lobbying for that issue. There should be an order for every constituency to get those projects done. And instead of lobbying, you should push that your constituency's project has not been done. You can raise that and protest it. Please help me clarify what you just said, and so that we have proper clarity.
Okay. You have not said anything different from what I've just said. If you push that projects should come out to be done in your constituency, it is the same thing as
No, then you don't have to use your company.
That you are talking to me. If your road is bad, you will shout at it. You will go and meet the chairman of the government and tell him, please, I can't pass this road if it is strong C road. If it's strong A road and you have access to the Minister of Works, I know you will go and meet the minister and beg the minister, come and help us. Mm-hmm. So you have lobbied, you have canvassed, you have appealed. So it is in all cases. But for business ethics' sake, I will answer that without any favor of insight, that as a National Assembly member, you cannot hold a company and then you lobby on behalf of the company to be given the project.
Right.
That is not acceptable.
Okay. Now,
I don't know if I answered it.
Yes, you have. Now, yesterday, the chairman of the committee, that's Nwabushi, was also accused by another representative of NDDC yesterday that he also, alongside Olubumi Tunde Ojo, who was actually asked to step aside, he was the former chairman. The new chairman, Senator Nwabushi, was also accused of being culpable, that he cannot chair the committee. That in itself, sir, suggests quite a bit that there are members amongst you that are indeed have part of these illegalities going on. So when you see two chairmen being asked to step aside, doesn't that suggest to you as a body that you have bad eggs amongst you who are actually collecting contracts on behalf of themselves?
Language, please, language. This might be language. Don't say bad eggs. Don't say that, please.
Okay.
And probably you have to withdraw that before I can proceed. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'll take that back. Maybe there are people amongst you who actually are collecting contracts on behalf of themselves.
Okay, thank you very much for doing that. I want to tell you again, you say alleged, and the House is not a court. The same way the House is inviting many of these MDAs and directors to appear, is still alleged, is still subject to investigation. If any minister, director, or whoever equally has any evidence to indict any member of the National Assembly, he is equally free to proceed and do so. So this, see, this is systematic, and don't divulge individual from systematic approach. There is a system. The system is the institution of the National Assembly. We have the process and the procedure. The process and the procedure is that when you have an investigative hearing, whoever, according to Section 8889, is involved must, underline, appear before any properly inaugurated and set up committee to explain. If such a person equally has anything against an individual among those who are sitting to investigate him, he can equally, you see, that's why we have the courts. They are all in stages. They are all in different levels. But for you to now say, you say I'm a T, you are also a T. I mean, you are only trying to undermine the process, which means you are only trying to fight back, not for the public or people that needed to know the facts and figures about it to know. If you have anything against such a person, then you will police the liberty, the inalienable rights.
Right. Okay. We have very little time left. Go ahead, Nima. Let me quickly throw a question.
So some people have complained about the futility of such probes that the House carry on. What are the consequences that you will befall Senator Akpabio if he fails to yield to the ultimatum of the Speaker?
And in addition to that, what would happen to an honorable member if found culpable?
If we are, I understand what you're saying, if we are putting Nigerians, you see, don't forget, the National Assembly has been a speaking for God, which we all know too well at this stage. And if you now have a new set of management, that's leadership, and they feel that, okay, let's shift the paradigm from what they have seen. The National Assembly is not a vindictive assembly. None of the leadership is interested in probably somebody should go to jail. Yes, the law, according to the Constitution, if you check very well, there are consequences for failure to adhere strictly with the resolution of the House.
Right.
But what we are trying to, I'm sure the leadership is trying to put in perspective is that, don't forget, in the Niger Delta region, we all know how many trillion cubic per feet of gas we are taking from there. The crude oil we are taking from there. In fact, no, because myself speaking to you, I spent better part of my life there. And it is my hope, my wish, and to be my happiness, that I see that place developed more than the Lagos State. You have the NDDC.
Right.
You have the Niger Delta Ministry. You have, even very soon, they are going to care about the petroleum governance in the PGIB, which is all-encompassing.
Okay.
We have the 13% derivation. We have the Ogoni cleanup.
Right.
We have the amnesty program.
Okay.
If you put all this together and even the way the governors are trying to strive to make sure that the place is developed, if there is no synergy, if there is no way we are going to put everything together and put them on the table, and then look at what they actually need, there is no how the House can intervene.
Exactly.
So
we have to.
How the House can intervene.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, sir. We've run out of time, sir. I do apologize. We'll have to stop at this point. Thank you very much, sir, for shedding some light. We'll continue to monitor the story, and hopefully, Minister provides the names of those who is accusing of collecting contract from the NDDC. We've been speaking with the member House of Representative Honorable Ibrahim Isiaka. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Okay, thanks for staying with us. Moving on to other topics. Earlier this year, the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Dr. Tunji Bello, asked residents of Lagos State to prepare for likely consequences of 240 to 270 days of rain this year. Predicted that by March, from March 19th to November 22nd, we'll experience these rains. We have with us the Permanent Secretary, Office of the Drainage Services and Water Resources, Engineer Nuruddin Shodendi, to address this issue. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
I'm here. Good morning.
Good to have you on the show with us.
Thank you very much.
Engineer Nuruddin, so obviously the rains are here. There's been quite a bit of flooding in Lagos State. Could you tell us what's been done to clear the drainages and ensure that people move out of these flooded areas as soon as possible?
Thank you very much. The state government is doing a lot to address the issue of flooding. Number one, earlier in the year, like you said, the Honorable Commissioner mentioned that we will be cleaning all major channels, the primary channels and the secondary collectors, while we were urging the residents and local governments to clean the tertiary drains. As I'm speaking to you, we've done quite a number of the primary channels, not all, but we've touched critical ones that have been causing so much flood inundation in the state. And we're still doing this exercise. Will run until September, October, when the rain is expected to peak, and November, when we'll start having some reduction in the rainfall and a final cessation of rainfall. In addition to the cleaning exercise we're doing, we're providing secondary collectors for 2 locations in the state. For your information, the Ijegbo community that came to your program the other day that was invited, we're doing 2 channels to the flood, the Divine Estate and the other estate that were being landlocked by the tank farm. So we've been able to resolve the issue of the Ijegbo community.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Right.
I wanted to know how much of data Lagos State has over the years for areas prone to flooding and what they've done in terms of, because Lagos keeps expanding commercially, like the area you mentioned, there's continuous commercial expansion happening there. From the Ijegun to the Abule-Osun axis, you have terminals every day springing up, and this is an area along the lagoon. So what does Lagos do with the data, if they do have the data that they gather over the years? What do they do? Does it inform how they license, allow buildings to be built and, or commercial activities to spring up in such areas?
Well, thank you. For your information, I am not in charge of land administration. My work squarely sits on drainage maintenance. But if you look at Lagos now, like you said, what is left in terms of land bank is more of of floodplain. Most land in Lagos now is a floodplain where, water is supposed to sit until it gets back into the atmosphere. So we're creating a synergy with the Lands Bureau and the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, whereby before any square meter of land in Lagos is allocated, we must ensure that the drainage infrastructure necessary to ensure that flooding is mitigated is provided by whoever is developing. So that is why we on our own, when we see development in wetland areas, we challenge them and we encourage them to do what they have to do to ensure that there is no flooding. But until that process becomes very seamless in governance, whereby the Lands Bureau, Ministry of Physical Planning that's supposed to give approval for building, development plan, and our office are able to have a good interaction. But we will continue to ensure that development of the floodplains are regulated as it were.
Okay, Engineer, the 4 local government areas where residents are being asked to relocate, and I've never heard that done before. So my question is it that the flooding is getting worse or that the management of it is getting better? So now we're able to pre-warn people about the dangers that is about to come to them.
That statement, we didn't say anybody should leave any 4 local government. What we said, it was just like a pre-warning that it has been predicted that some areas are going to be prone to heavy flooding. And so we're saying, fine, while we cannot predict the intensity of the rainfall or the duration, which are key indices that causes flooding, we will need to be careful. Everybody needs to be careful that if perchance the rain in your area is creating any flood situation, you need to save your lives. We're not saying everybody should just pack out of their houses and leave now. Areas that we know will have river flooding, and these areas are highly are prone to flooding, is sharing off. Areas along Ogun River. This is something that we know the Godswill Development Authority has opened the dam, and the volume of release will increase progressively. So such low-lying areas that are floodplains that have not, made that nothing is existing to really prevent the flooding from happening. We're saying, be on the alert. When the river stage starts increasing, you need to move. That's what we're saying. You need to move. That's what we're saying. So we now have a good handshake with OBDA, that's the Rivers Development Authority that manages the dam. So we have enough data to predict when this situation will happen. So such areas we are advising to be on the alert, and when the flooding starts, they need to move to protect their lives and their property. But for other areas in the state, the channels we provided are adequate, they're flowing. Yes, you'll get flash flooding, which is a result of the volume of water that is coming. But the conveyor system, which is the drainage channels, will still do its work and take the water away into the lagoon. Secondly, the issue of climate change is here. Before now, areas that never used to get flooded are not getting flooded because we are the most downstream of several river systems in the state. There is no how we can quickly collect the runoff and discharge it rapidly. There is no we're discharging to. A lot of our developments are in floodplains. So rapid discharge of water into the lagoon is not that, cannot be achieved within a short time frame. So there would be some level of backflow that will cause flash flooding. But within a couple of hours, 1 to 2 hours, we expect that all those runoff will eventually enter the lagoon.
All right, let's go on a quick break. We'll come back and continue this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we still have with us the Permanent Secretary, Office of the Drainage Services and Water Resources, Engineer Nuruddin Shodendi.
Yes,
you had a
I'd like
question,
to.
yes.
So, of course, as usual, every year we hear about the drainages, telling Lagosians to stop, filling in the drainages with waste. For me, I understand that's like a short-term management. I would like to know what the long-term plan is, especially collaboration with your what would we call it, commission, and with your ministry and the waste ministry. What are we doing? What are you doing together to just quell this and stop this, or reduce it even? The blockage of drainages.
Thank you. I think what I'll say here is that we need to realize that we need a lifestyle change in this part of the world. Solid waste management is the biggest challenge I have as an office. And like you said, there is an agency in charge of solid waste management. If my channels are left to do what they are designed to do, that means collect runoff and the silt, the grains of sand that flows with the runoff, we won't be having this much challenge. But what we have in the drain is actually garbage, refuse. And Lagos State has a PSP model in place, which we're trying to grow. And I think Loma is working on that. But I can tell you today, even if the PSP is very effective, how about those of us that are riding on the road and have this habit of just throwing things on the floor? And even when you're trying to enforce as an individual, it has happened to me before. I stopped the car that somebody threw a PET bottle out of the window. I told the guy to go and pick the bottle. It's a yellow bus, a commercial bus. The passengers nearly mobbed me.
Wow.
Now, why am I delaying them? Am I government? So this mentality needs to change, because all these things we throw on the road, when it rains, it ends up in the channel. So the lifestyle change, everybody needs to decide that, yes, the environment matters, because I believe a lot of us give little or no interest to sustaining the environment, to make it healthy.
That is very
all of
good.
us need to be on the same page to make sure this happens.
And the
Government is doing its best to put the PSP in shape. We're doing our best to clean the drain, but we need to stop daily activities that encourages the gathering of all this garbage in the drainage channels.
Right.
So, Engineer Shodendi, you're very correct on that. I must commend that you were able to, you tried to stop the person who dumped to pick it up. But the truth is, the PSP or LOMA as it is not sufficient to deal with the waste in Lagos. And the system of landfill that we run is also very, very encouraging of flooding. Example is the one on the Elasu Sherry Road. What you see there is that an area that usually was free before is largely flooded now. That Igondo around the General Hospital area is always dealing with flood now because of that landfill. Also, the fact that we now have to resort to the truck pushers to take our waste. Nobody can control where it ends. They can take it to any drainage, any big canal, like the one in Jegu that you mentioned, and fill it there. So we need to we need to be clear whether we want to recycle waste before we collect them, recycle them and turn them around to something else, or do not, end this landfill system.
Well, you're taking me out of my thoughts, but I'll try
What
and
do you
manage your
think?
question.
I'm asking your personal opinion.
Well, number one, I am not sure your information about Igondo is correct.
I live
There
in
is no
Alimosho.
flooding in Igondo as I'm speaking to you, even when it rains. But what is happening in Igondo at the landfill site there is, I think they're doing some rehabilitation work there, and they're working on the road. Loma is working in the landfill. Public Works Corporation is working on the road. That information I have at my disposal.
You can verify the communities around the landfill are not dealing with flood. The houses there.
In terms of flooding, there is no flooding incidents in Igondo. But that's not the problem. The one I want to address here is this. Please, I want to beg you. there is a PSP service in every part of Lagos. I'm not saying we're getting it right, but it exists. Don't for any reason patronize a cart pusher. But I can tell you for free, the man cannot push from Surulere to Ojota. Neither can he push from Ikeja to Olusosun, to Solus or anywhere. He's going to push it straight to the next canal. That is, I'm giving you from, that is the next thing. So no matter how ineffective the PSP operation is as it is now, you have a right to call a Lawma hotline. I don't have the number here, because I know they have a hotline for all their PSP operators. By the time we put applied pressure on Lawma, everything will work, fit into place eventually. But please don't for any reason patronize a cart pusher.
I'm saying it on live now.
Into my channel.
My estate, we do not have a collection, no PSP operator collecting waste there. And I can tell you that everybody in that resident in that estate resort to truck pushers.
What's the name of your estate, please? I tell you, there will be a PSP operator, but if I have your estate, I'll call the MD of Lawma to tell the PSP man to come and meet you.
I've been on this.
You can always get that across to us. But every part of Lagos has a PSP operator allocated. That I know for a fact.
Recently, there was we heard issues of PSP operators actually defrauding the government. It was in the papers, where many of them actually, especially those who are the employers for these sweepers, there was an issue with that. So it's possible that we need an investigation. Because this is not the first time Nima is saying this. She has always talked about the fact that, in fact, she has called out the MD of Lawma several times, that in her entire neighborhood, there's hardly a PSP truck that has been assigned to that neighborhood. So maybe you can help us extend this to the acting DG of Lawma to help us look into it to ensure that the right PSP is actually picking up in that neighborhood.
PSP assigned to that area, and let me know why he's not. We don't know the days of the week he will come for waste collection.
That's all we can take.
If I have your estate, the name of your estate and the location, I'll escalate for you.
Thank you, sir. That's all we can take on this. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you whenever we get more reports on issue of flooding in Lagos State. We've been speaking with the Permanent Secretary, Office of the Drainage Services and Water Resources, Engineer Nuruddin Shodendi. When we come back, we'll go on to other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks again for joining us. So in this current economic downturn and after the global economy begins to rebound, hiring will be a high priority. On the show today, our guests will use the recruitment strategies to make hiring work for young SMEs employers. Joining us on the show is a business development consultant, David Mbelu. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, David. So, obviously, everybody's talking about the new normal, the new requirements, the new requisites to be employable today. What are those things employers are looking for today to get new people that can actually work in these times?
So, thank you very much for the question, and thank you for having me. I think basically a lot of employers are looking out for individuals who are flexible, individuals who are, determined, and basically, ready to carry on any task that is given to them. They're also looking out for candidates who are excellent in what they do. Why? Because more than ever before, organizations are looking to become lean. There's the new new saying that every organization is trying to be lean and efficient. So I think it's very important now that as a job seeker, you are focused, and then you are also able to carry on additional responsibilities if given a task.
Okay, we have a peculiar situation. And a lot of people, yes, right now. So we have people who want to hire, employees, but they're afraid of your status, your COVID-19 status. Is it on the employer or the prospective employee to come with a test result when you go for this, and how often and how recent should these test results be for this employee?
Yes, I mean, we started off with saying that the new normal is digital. So I think it's important that organizations begin to look for ways that they can totally digitalize their operations. So even in the human resource function and also the hiring process, you should, as much as possible, try and ensure that all forms of assessment when hiring for a position is done online. And it's actually very possible. Like, you don't actually need to come in for an interview at all. All you need to do is to ensure that you have the right digital channels. You have your Zoom, you have your Skype, or Teams, or whatever works for you. As an organization, it's important that you begin to look through those various channels to ensure that you have a virtual presence, because that is what basically will give you, would help you as an organization at this time, especially with the pandemic.
Okay, what about employees like drivers, nurses, doctors, those sort of things, essential employees, but that have to be physically present?
That's a very tricky one. I understand that, it's almost very, data is expensive, we all know that. And for someone that is looking to get a driving job, I think, people already have access to smartphones, so any of these platforms can work on smartphones. It's just a change of mindset. No matter how small or unique, or the position or low the position may be, I think it's time we gradually start to, sensitize the general public around, embracing technology and embracing these changes that are happening. Yes, you would still have to drive. However, if you're looking to hire a driver, you still have to drive a passenger or something. But the truth is, there are safer ways around it. So every organization has to take the necessary caution.
Let's talk about these hiring techniques that you have for the employers.
Yes. Okay. So we have a new product which we launched quite recently. It's called the Jobman Skills Assessment. Basically, what this product does is similar to our job listings product, where employers can come on our website and list positions they're looking to fill in their organization. The difference here is that as soon as the jobs are on, if any application comes in from a candidate, rejects a job seeker, that candidate is made to take an assessment. Now, what this assessment does is it checks the technical skills of that candidate to find out if he or she has the technical background to fill the position in question. So, for example, if you're looking for a sales role, it would be a sales executive, and you would have a model around sales that touches around basic things that a salesperson should know. And the good thing about this product is that it has, various levels. So there's the entry level type assessment, there's the experienced hire, and there's also the intermediate hire. So basically, you have different stages of the assessment to test the skills of people. So we're looking for people with, say, 1-2 years work experience. You have a type of assessment that fits that. And people who have 10 years above as well, you can actually test for, competence as well.
Right. These are difficult times for many human resource organizations, because lots of companies are reviewing the needs for certain roles. So, for example, maybe you get a driver, but now you might not need a driver because most of your meetings are going to be online. You don't need to pick up things anymore because things are being delivered by courier. So many companies are having to review. So as a business consultant, how would you advise companies to go back to their staff strength and see how they can begin to cut or add, where they need to cut and what is necessary going forward?
So I started off with saying that organizations are looking to become lean. I think it's important that they look out for the competencies of each and every person. So you may start off by doing a staff audit, find out positions or job descriptions within your company that you may not necessarily need at this time. Also, there are pockets of positions that one person can actually, multitask to do those roles. And now, coupled with the fact that people don't always have to be in the office, it means that, your work culture can actually be more flexible. So I think, you know, it will take as HR professionals and the HR manager, one thing you have to do at this time is to research and find out what other organizations are doing. Try out new things. You have to be very flexible. There's no one size fits all to this. But find out what works best for your organization. Because organizations have different competencies and areas of strength. You may need to find out what exactly works best for you. Conduct a staff audit. Find out pockets of places that, you know, you really don't need employees for. I'll find out the areas that you can actually multitask so that you can save on your budget. You know, I think these are very important at this time.
Yeah, what advice would you give, like, freshly out of school prospective employees who, and what should their expectation be now? Because a lot of people would have come out assuming a certain type of job, a certain type of salary, but things have changed. So what should their expectations be?
So I think for fresh graduates at this time, it's important that, you know, as much as possible, they try to relearn, you know, what things that are important for the skill sets that they have. So for example, if you're leaving school now and you're studying maybe business administration, you want to come out and know, okay, what skills can I add on while I'm looking for a job? And the good thing is at Jobberman, we started a soft skills training platform where, you know, during the course of the pandemic, we trained about 60,000 job seekers. Now, what this does is we are giving you the knowledge that you need to perform work once you get that job. We are giving you the knowledge that you have to, organizations spend so much to impact on candidates, but now there's no budget for that anymore from their part. So we're actually helping to fill that gap. You know, so I think it's important that you add on as much knowledge as possible. Stay technology driven, know what is happening, you know, in the technological advancement that's going on in the space that you have an interest in. And you have to be very flexible. You can't be rigid with this thing. I think it's very important that you have to open up your mind to new learnings. And make sure you apply for jobs that you're passionate about. Even if it may seem like you don't have that opportunity, you have to just keep trying and stay optimistic.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So going forward now, as I said earlier, COVID-19 is here. Many people are obviously afraid of hiring new people. One of the issues we've had is the matter of data, expenses. So the new normal, yes, you're saving money by not having everybody gather in the offices, you're paying electricity bills, but you're still having to pay for data usage. You still have to pay the expenses you're incurring across as a company. What advice would you give companies on how best to reallocate some of these funds to ensure that the staff have what they need to participate virtually?
I think it's important that, organizations begin to engage, the telcos themselves, especially when they know that they have, the numbers that, can easily give them maybe a better pricing or negotiation or rate when it comes to data. And these things are possible. If you say you want to buy data for your entire workforce to perform work, you can actually approach the telcos and say, oh, I have X number of employees in the company, and what is the best rate I can get for this? And that way you're supporting your employees, by providing them with the fundamental, essential thing that they need to perform work at this time. So I think, and it's also a good opportunity to also, the couples themselves need to actually be, sensitive to the times that we're in. I know that every business is, operating to make profit, but at the same time, we need to understand that, we all need each other in some way or some form to actually exist. So I think it's important that, the HRs and decision makers begin to, when I say lobby, raise a voice so that they can get, what they require in terms of data,
right?
For employees, yes.
Okay, so moving forward, what would you advise those intending applicants to do to boost their chances of getting employed under this present circumstance?
Yeah. Okay, first of all, I would say you have to update your profile on the Chairman website. Ensure that your profile is up to date. Why? Because over the last 2-3 months, we've been running a campaign which is called Free Listings Campaign, Unity in Adversity. We've had, so many employers put up jobs on our website, and we're doing this for free. So we have live jobs that, companies are actually looking to hire for on our website. So if you go to government.com, you can get, you can do a search, the skills that you have, find a job that suits you, and then apply for those jobs. Also, make sure you have a CV that is up to date, and keep learning. Keep trying to, better yourself. Hone your skills where as much as possible. And there's so many webinars around going on. Try as much as possible to join the ones that are of interest to you, and even the ones that you may not have studied in university. You can actually just join to actually learn a new skill.
Thank you.
So I think it's important that job seekers do that.
Thank you very much, David, for sharing some light on that for us. At least, hopefully, lots of young people out there can now know what exactly they need to be employable. We've been speaking with the business development consultant, David Mbelu. All right, so we'll be wrapping up very soon. Before we do, let's take a few tweets.
Okay. So first is Akimboyewa says, EFCC should be allowed to investigate NDDC and not the National Assembly. It's not the job of Akpabio to publish names. It is the job of the National Assembly to fish out the bad eggs in their midst. We all know there are many long throats in fish out the bad eggs in their midst. We all know there are many long throats in the National Assembly.
The case Mafia says, I found it funny that Mo Akabash was asked to withdraw the statement. It must be pained that all of them have been painted black, but whose fault was that? They should clean up their acts and sanitize the system. The shame is pulling up and they are running out of time.
And Balogo Oluwaseun says, I would want the lawmaker to clear the air fully about the contract, but the truth is that the bad eggs mean nothing, but rather a bad leader losing money.
Okay, so I guess the
proper prosecution within the lawmakers' fact.
All right, the tweets are on the
mostly,
first. They're mostly on the first. All right, so let's move on. But listen, we're on top of it because I think the speaker make bold to say that his people, according to him, that he's saying that he's been there for 5 terms and he knows most of his members are not culpable in these accusations. So we are holding on to what he said because we are trusting that he knows what he's saying. But let's wait for the list to come out before we then begin to judge if the list comes out. And again, Nigerians are also cynical because they feel that these investigations start and nothing ever happens. So hopefully we get the list from one end and then we'll see what happens with the NDDC probing to be sure indeed. Because Ponde has given his own verbal statement, as in his written statement, which they've accepted as his own statement for the allegations. So we'll see how it goes, and then we'll keep our viewers updated. There's
also a tweet on waste on the environment.
Go ahead, please.
So I don't know what the preparation is meant to be. I suggest the department goes around Lagos and ensures residents are practicing proper waste disposal. Fix the drainages before the rains commence. Enforce laws for non-compliance, proactive, not reactionary steps. I think we should always prepare for the rain. But well done, Lagos generally. I see them clearing the canal at the estate.
And because our show is about 5 minutes delayed on international, so the tweets come in slightly late. So that's why we have to always read them afterwards, so they don't think that we're trying to save them for the end. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.